We'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners and custodians of the land which we are filming today, the people of the Kulin Nation. We also pay our respects to their elders, past and present. Hey everyone, I have some exciting news to share with you. You're going to see a few new faces hosting this podcast, talking about some cool and exciting topics like marketing, retail media, retail spaces. So continue to tune in to see who those are, and I can't wait to share more with you.
Hello, Mia Horner, and welcome to the Queued Up podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Ben. How are you?
Very good, thank you. Now, your first time on the podcast.
It is.
Very exciting. We thought we might start with a question just to get to know a bit about you.
Sure.
So could you tell us a bit about your background and your role at Liquorland?
So I am the general manager for customer loyalty. So I work across marketing, media, insights, planning across 1,000 liquor stores across the country.
Excellent. And retail media falls within your remit too, is that right?
Absolutely, it does, yes. So it's a very exciting new area of our business that we have been working on for the last 2 or 3 years.
So we are going to get into the retail media component soon, but this podcast traditionally has been more about music, and Nikki's been leading that conversation with a lot of the heavyweights within the music industry. And so I guess before we go into the retail media component, can you tell us about the role that audio plays within your physical stores?
Well, I think it's important to go back and remember that stores or old stores in the past would just have a standard playlist, and you might actually have quite a few tracks on repeat. And it really was background music, like the elevator music. And we know that when our customers are really enjoying the in-store environment, that dwell time is longer, but also our customer experience is better and our staff are actually more highly engaged. So over the last few years, we've implemented QSIC, and that's where now we're able to tailor everything, whether it's sort of time of day, whether it is time of week, whether it's about seasons or key events, and also to demographics and locales and communities. So now the role of in-store audio has just really taken off. It's actually become a very big lever for us to change how our customers feel shopping with us.
Yeah, and you mentioned staff there as well. I can imagine because they spend such a long time within the store environment, and they're really big part of what makes the experience great for the customers. So how has that impacted the staff experience, would you say?
I would say it's definitely lifted the excitement and actually the enjoyment of being in store. Now, that's not to say that, you're not necessarily going to have challenges in store when you are working, because there's always a challenge. But if we can actually make it a little bit better by having that dynamic audio and really interesting to suit the, community, etc. But also our team members can suggest what works for them as well in terms of playlists, specific sort of music that would work for the area, even right down to key events going on that they can really celebrate those. So for our team members, it's actually been really enjoyable. We've had such great feedback from them all.
So you mentioned team members, and obviously they're a really important part of the store environment, and the way they show up really changes the customer experience too. So how has the evolution of the in-store music really helped you have a stronger connection with your staff members?
It's really important to remember that our team members can be on a shift from 6, 8, plus hours, with breaks, of course. And if you're hearing the same music again and again and again, it can actually really wear you down. If I can take a moment to tell you about my past, as I was a team member in a store back when I worked in the UK. I worked on, it'd be the equivalent of sort of like a big variety store in London. And from September the 1st, Mariah Carey, Christmas music would be played again and again and again. And by the 30th of September, I was ready to just chuck it all in, and it never changed. We don't do that anymore. It's just fantastic. We've got our team members that can suggest tunes that really are important to them within reason and that are important to the community, but also it just changes it up. The fact as well is that the music isn't just one tempo, one level of sound. It actually comes up and down depending on who's in store. So it really matches the mood of the store. And that's what I love about it. And the team members have given us great feedback in that space.
Yeah. Can I say that I'm not against Mariah Carey playing from September, and Christmas carols for me start in July, because Christmas in July. But yeah, that's an interesting point, I think, about in Liquorland especially, it's a really specific time of day that people are coming through your stores. Even though you've got long opening hours, people are really coming in at specific times.
Absolutely.
Thursday afternoon, Friday afternoon, weekends. And so I think that's an important part about how the music tempo matches what's happening within the store environment. And some of the studies we've done has actually talked about productivity of staff members. So
Yes.
if we've got the right tempo of the music is matching what's happening in the store, the staff actually start to like work at a pace that matches
Yeah,
the
spot
customer
on.
dwell time.
And if I think about the times where customers do come in, and they are very varied, but you do not want to be hearing high tempo music at 10 in the morning when the store opens, okay? So what we see is we know the time of day that everyone comes in, and we know roughly what they're potentially going to be looking for. So we really make sure that we match the tempo of the music. We did studies in a previous role where how do we actually really increase and deliver a stronger customer experience in store, and music was crucial to that. And we know if you get the right tempo or the right music, the right artist, that they actually had stronger dwell time and didn't feel like I need to get in, I need to get out. You know, they loved a tune, they were happy to stay there. And I think using that insight is really important to affect and impact the customer experience in store, because if they're having a really nice time and they're really enjoying their shop, they're going to think of you and they're going to choose you when they go to think of their next purchasing occasion. So
Yeah.
it's absolutely crucial to have all of the elements of an in-store experience working and not just some of them.
Yeah, and I think if I think about my personal experience going into a Liquorland, it's usually I'm in a good mood because I'm going in and I'm on my way somewhere
Yes.
often and I'm about to go have a great time. So you kind of want that mood to reflect the experience you're about to go to.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And when I look at the data and see, you know, the footfall and the traffic of people coming through at different times and certainly different days, it's very, very interesting. It's all sort of changed. It's very much around key events. So if you think about what's happening right now, we're able to see that the impact of events such as soccer that's going on at the moment, that we're seeing people buy now at different times, like coming in at 10 o'clock in the morning because they're on their way to something, especially when you've got games at the weekend. So it's very, very grounded in what's happening in the global environment, but also what's happening culturally at this moment in the country. So that allows you to be agile and dynamic, and I think that's absolutely powerful.
Yeah, that's a really good place, I think, to sort of start to talk about not just the music that happens in the store, but also the messaging that we're able to
Yes.
talk about. So I know at the start of the year, Liquorland is a major sponsor of Cricket Australia, and that was a really important partnership for Liquorland. And, you know, you do have a lot of people coming into your stores, stocking up because they're about to go and, you know, go to a friend's house or watch the match together. So at the start of the year, we're actually able to bring that to life in the store
Yes.
environment to talk about live score updates that was happening at the cricket as an example, and
Yeah.
sort of, really help that. So could you talk a bit about that and the importance of bringing that partnership into the store environment?
Well, first of all, I love that that came on the back of a conversation between you and I when we were talking in December. And the beauty of cricket is that it's, especially a test, is that it goes all day. That also means that if you do need to go out and stock up or top up, you're going to miss some of the action. So you're on the radio or you might be listening on your phone. And you and I had a chat and I was, how do we actually ensure that our customers never miss a moment? But also, how do we ensure that our team members are kept up to date as well? So they've actually got something to talk about, you know, when they do see cricket fans come through. So we were able to push out into the stores just as it happened, ball by ball, what was happening in the scores, who was, you know, lining up at the crease, you know, what was, who was out, you know, who took a six. And you know, our team members really loved it, that they were feeling, I'm not missing a moment while I'm here at work, but I'm also able to talk to people going, you know, did you hear that, you know, Mitch Marsh just did this, and, you know, that we've got Scotty Boland, etc., you know, and he's just scored this. It was fantastic. And it allowed you to be more than transactional. So it just cements connection.
Yeah.
And I think that's the role of audio and in-store media in general, but certainly audio. It's not just about creating a background. It allows you to have a conversation. It allows you to stay in touch, and it drives engagement. And that's what I love about it.
Yeah, I think that's a really great point. And when we think about engagement, it's like, what is the content that we create that's going to
Yes.
connect both with your staff members, but also the customers coming through? Can I just say I was really impressed with your cricket knowledge then? I know I know you're very across it, but in December last year, I had to really do my research to make sure I knew what we were saying was going to be accurate in the store updates. But yeah.
I think sporting in general is a big passion point of Australians. We know that whoever they barrack for, they're really engrossed in the code or the game. And even if it's not your team playing, you're watching to see what the other teams are doing, so then you can know where your team's going to land up. So this is really something that works really well for us when we partner with different sponsorship properties, because we're able then to share the feed and talk about it with our customers and our team members. So I love that we can do that, and we wouldn't have been able to do that if we hadn't got what we have with QSIG. It's not just sporting moments as well. If you think about occasions such as cultural events, again, like, you know, your Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day, Easter, we were able to talk about, you know, just-in-time offers. We were able to talk about, you know, how people were celebrating Valentine's Day, anything that we had from the news, and share what was happening across the country. So again, it is not just listening to a soundtrack. It is informative, it is engaging, and it is really providing a topic of conversation in stores as well. And I just think that creates a richer environment.
I love that you brought in St. Patrick's Day for that one. I'm not surprised. We also did a great execution for Mardi Gras this year within the stores. And
We
obviously,
did.
Coles Group is a major sponsor of Mardi Gras. But I thought that was a fantastic execution of going, how can music really bring that connection
Yes.
to life in the store environment, and have special activations that turn up in areas that are around the parade and what's happening within the
Absolutely. So
Sydney market.
we took over one of our stores in Darlinghurst, which is just right off the main parade route in Sydney. And we essentially created a Rave Cave, which is, we have cool rooms that are really quite big. And instead, you know, of just walking in, grabbing your case of beer and leaving, we transformed it into a party place where we had mirror balls. We had beautiful Mardi Gras costumes from days gone by. We had music and lighting just pumping. And of course, what we were able to do is, if there were 2 people or 3 people in there, we were able to dial up the music and create, you know, more pumping and have quite high tempo. If there was 1 or 2 people, you know, 1 person in there, obviously they're like, what on earth is going on? So we were actually able to be dynamic and match right down to who went into the room, which was just amazing. It was a great activation, and we saw it all over the week. We had customers that were coming in and dancing in the cool room, in the Rave Cave. It was just great. And we had Misty Del Rey, who is a Coles team member, but also a very, very famous queen in Tasmania. And she was there. She looked amazing in all her glory and finery, and dancing around the store and in the cave. And the music was just changing as people came in. It was wonderful.
So good. Looking forward to the next ones coming up.
Yes.
So talking about retail media, when a lot of people think about retail media, they think about websites and apps and really the Amazon effect of what created retail media. But how has that definition changed for you?
We have to remember that media isn't just confined to those spaces. Media is everything that a customer or consumer or a person, you or me, consumes, right? It's all received in the form of media. So we're really pigeonholing ourselves if we just think about the fact that it is a website or on an app. All the information that you receive is all around you. So we've got to be in your place. And that's really taking a look at each customer, each person, and understanding what's the way they receive information. So I might receive information best through, you know, visual mediums. I might receive it through audio. And so don't just think about it's going to be them on a desktop or them on their phone. When you're walking down the street, media is everywhere. And it's not as simple as saying, oh, it's in a billboard, etc. Retail media is really important because it allows us to harness the power of how we're already talking to our customers across our whole business, and actually look at other ways that we can work with our suppliers and our teams to reach that and make it even go further. And so for us, it's not just about those big assets. It's about, you know, walking into store, seeing point of sale, you know, communication at the shelf edge. It's when you walk up to the fridge and you see a decal, you know, that tells you about the brand and also potentially the price. It is the screens as you walk in the door that shows the beautiful brand cues and talks about why you would have this at this occasion in this moment. And of course, then there is the audio space where you're hearing about it, and it's not just music. And that's so important to remember, is that, you know, we have to move away from thinking that in-store audio and media is just about a visual or music. It's about how do you drive the communication, the connection, the understanding, and the education of what a brand or an offer is trying to do. And it's not just about being a static visual. It's got to be the way that customers receive information, and different customer types can do that. And so you must really ensure that it's grounded in really good insights. So that's what I would say is the first thing.
Yeah.
You've got to make sure that you understand who you're going to target, why, what is the offer that you're giving to them, because what's the behavior that you want to change. If you're just pushing out flat visuals, that's just wallpaper. Or if you're just having the songs or just go and buy X, that's just, there's no real call to action. You must tell people why it's going to make a difference for them, the benefit it's going to do for them. And it doesn't have to be all, narrated. You can show that through visuals, and you can show that through sound as well. So that's why I think retail media is a great platform to be able to do something that's very, very different.
Yeah, and the in-store, the physical stores for you are so important because so many of the transactions for you occur in the
Absolutely.
store environment.
I mean, you know that people are shopping differently. They're shopping online, right? They do a lot of, on demand where it's delivered to their houses. But the majority of purchases are still in store. And even for the ones that aren't in store, you can still communicate through on demand. You can still communicate through on, line on the websites. But it is about the messaging. And particularly within store, you've got and I'm going to say the word luxury, where the customer's going to walk in and see a number of, point of connection areas that you've an opportunity to tell your story or why you're relevant and why they should choose you or what you're going to do to be beneficial to their occasion. And you don't necessarily get that when you're sitting just ordering from home. So in-store allows us to have the team member that can talk to it, the visuals as you come in, the audio as you're sort of dwelling and walking around, the display, the messages at fridge and shelf edge, in the cool room. It's a wonderful canvas to bring your brands to life. And that's what I think some people can miss and not think about.
And so important in those environments, I think, to be dynamic and to be speaking, like saying the right message at the right time
That's
to the
right.
right consumer.
Yes.
And, it's not about having one thing that sits there for, a full month. It's about why is that customer in the shop? What are they there for? What's their demand? And then how do we enhance that experience? And from an audio point of view, how do we make sure that we're delivering value to that customer by saying something that, to your point, is relevant to their shopping experience?
And if I think about what we're doing with our Coles Supermarkets partners, we, Liquorland, have partnered with MasterChef. We're the official liquor supplier, and Coles Supermarkets are the official retailer supplier. So what we've done is that when a recipe, or a challenge is featured on MasterChef and Coles are heroing it, we have then got the match from a wine, beer, spirits, RTD perspective that comes together. So that's relevant at that time. We know that, on a Sunday or a Monday when MasterChef is aired, the recipes that they've cooked on the Sunday or Monday are often chosen on the Tuesday or Wednesday in store, in terms of people giving them a crack, etc. So us being lined up and being able to be dynamic with our audio to communicate the message is very important. And I'd say that that's also, important with screens. If you print point of sale, you're on there for sort of like 4 weeks, and it's very labor and cost intensive to print point of sale that doesn't change, and you can't then necessarily send it out in the day. We can do things where we can change the message in 7 minutes, if that. It could be even, 5 minutes. And I know we've done that before, where I've rung you up and said, we need to get this message on because we're seeing this happen. And so making sure that you are touching the what's actually important in the customer's lives at that time is very, very important. So if we also think about things like, we think of Father's Day, for example, and we know, it's on that Sunday. We can change the messaging just for that day to talk about last minute gifts. Have you forgotten something? And really make it relevant across the store on what are some of the products that Dad would like. But that will only be maybe for that day or the day before. And then we can flip it again on the Monday.
Yeah.
So really, really important.
And also being able to change what products are we promoting for Father's Day in different stores or different store formats or different areas around the country, knowing what products actually do resonate with those audiences and making sure that we're not
Absolutely.
spraying the same message to everyone. We're actually being a lot more tailored in how we deliver
That's
it.
what I love about the flexibility and the agility of our in-store audio with QSIC is that we are pushing out many different messages at different times across all of our stores. You will find it very difficult to walk into store A and hear the same message in store B because of the fact that in Queensland it could be sun is shining and we're really talking about, aperitivos and premix and those lighter style drinking. And then it's winter here in Melbourne and we're talking about the red wines, etc. But then we can go into the city and be talking about Burke Street, especially in Chinatown, and talk about Mutai. And actually, are you having a real celebratory occasion? We can have all of these messages happening at the same time across our whole estate to be relevant. So it is not a one size fits all. And I think that's the future. Again, it's tailoring for and personalizing at different scale. And we can go right down to store level that we need to potentially talk about a specific offer for that store. We couldn't do that in the past. That is
Yeah.
real personalization.
And I think the measurement piece about that is so important. So, we're not making assumptions that this store is going to sell these products or at these times. We can actually use a data-led approach.
That's right.
We ingest the point of sale transaction data into the platform, which informs what goes out to the network. That's something that we've, from a measurement point of view, that's been a really important component of our partnership to make sure that we're taking those learnings and then starting to optimize our campaigns
Yeah.
as we go forward to understand what works and what doesn't work. And we've been able to really drive some great results for brands who have come into the network and participated in the platform to start to drive incremental sales when they're doing it with this targeted and measured approach.
That goes back to what I was saying about insights and really understanding at the beginning of a campaign what we're targeting, the behavior change we want to see, and who we're targeting. That sets us up. But that measurement, that sort of post-implementation review is really, really important. And so us being able to give the data feed of the transactions so that we can see what is really landing is something that's invaluable, because if you think about the way that you would traditionally do a promotion is that you would go, here's what we want to achieve. At the end, did we get that? That's it. Okay. Did we get the sales? Did we not get the sales? Now we're able to see, actually, did that drive a basket spend, to drive, average higher transaction? Did it work better in these times versus these times? We can get right down to the minute. Whereas before you couldn't do that. It would be the sales for the day. So we can go, we ran this communication between 11 and 11:05 and we saw this spike here. We know that it doesn't work in the afternoon and this didn't work. Why didn't it work? And we can really prosecute it to go, well, actually, it was pouring rain in this part. I've never seen climates in Melbourne that actually can work on a microclimate. And you go, well, it was actually pouring rain and nobody was picking up the aperitivos at this time because it was Baltic outside. So it helps us to really diagnose how do we plan for the future and mitigate, anything that could come down the line. So that knowledge bank gives us far more agility to be better prepared when we're going to run something again.
Yeah, it's kind of, I guess, using the data and insights that you would be used to using from an online platform,
Yes.
but actually bringing it into a physical space.
That's right.
Yeah, from
That's
a retail
right.
media perspective.
And as I said, it's also, you'd think it would be quite complicated because of the fact we've got different messages per store. But because of the platform and it all being, AI enabled, it actually tells us what the problems are. We don't have to go mining for data to go, what happened here, and interrogate spreadsheets. It's a very, very sophisticated analytics platform that allows us to understand and tell us really quickly the patterns without us ever looking in a spreadsheet. It brings it to life within minutes. So we don't have to wait 3 weeks for an implementation review if the campaign is really just running for a certain period of time. Whereas in the past, we would have to do that. So it's really giving us what we need right when we need it, as opposed to 3 weeks down the line, it's gone past and everyone's sort of forgotten about it and we move on.
Yeah, and that's the expectation from brands now. You don't want to wait those 3 weeks. They
No.
want it to be now. And even if it's due like mid-flight, you want to be able to know if something is working, should we be investing more into that and pushing
That's
it harder?
correct. And that's one of the things that you've reached out a few times to the team and said, hey, we're seeing spikes in this here. Do you want to go and talk about potentially doing more of that with this partner, this supplier, this brand? Because it's really resonating. And that allows us to be really, and I've said the word agile a number of times today, but I can't be clearer on this. That allows us to just turn on a dime and go, let's push more of that out. And as I said, it's done in minutes.
And everyone wins in that scenario.
Yes.
You know, it's the consumers winning because we're seeing an uptake. They're hearing the message and they're buying more of the product. The supplier wins because they're converting more sales across your network. And you win as a retailer.
And ultimately, the customer wins because they're getting, a message that's suitable for them. And the team member is just enjoying the moment because they're getting customers coming in and finding what they need, which has a halo effect on how they are being engaged with that customer and how the customer engages with them and how they engage with the customer. So it's fantastic.
Yeah. So Mia, tell me a bit more about some of the success stories or the feedback that you're getting from your supplier partners around what this new channel means for them.
So I think that for suppliers, it's actually been more than just brand building, okay? Or getting their message out and getting a switch. It's really been a very strong attributable source of margin and sales where they can really look at how has their brand performed. And if I think about some of the points, for us, it's deepened our supplier partnerships where we're actually planning out retail media and how do we work together in that space. It gives us better planning experiences and actually allows us to be more innovative. When you remove the shackles of this is what you must do and this is, what we've always done, people can be quite innovative and think about how do we actually have a little bit of fun with this and do something different. And it becomes a conversation where they want to plan out how do they engage across this for the year. And it's not just a quick fix if something's not working and I'll just invest in getting more sales. So it is becoming and has become a lot more, I would say, planned out channel for activation as opposed to just seeing that it is going to be, something that's bolted on. So I think that's very important to remember. When we look at some of the things that we still have to work with our teams and our suppliers on, I would say it is just that long-term view of where are we going to go in the future and what can we do? Because that's really exciting where retail media can go. So I think that's something that we should, not be afraid of, especially as AI becomes more and more exciting. And what's next for us to be able to take it to the next level? I think that's really, really exciting.
The quick hit wins that you get from using a platform like this, when you can see the measured uplift, it's easy to be more tap in for the tactical things. But I agree to your point that it is more about that long-term planning.
Yes.
And as we are ingesting the loyalty data, we can actually start to see not what is just the sales uplift that happens in this moment, but what's the long-term value
That's
of
right.
that partnership.
That's right. So if you think about, ultimately you want your customers to be really loyal to you and you also want them to feel rewarded. So it does allow us to drive loyalty engagement further, but also go, how do I ensure that that customer becomes really sticky and wants to come back? What are the things that I see that aren't happening? And therefore, what do I need to course correct or change? And we're able to do that through the audio, the retail media platform, and really going to look at what was the result that we had. So I would say it helps us create more valuable shopper journey scenarios so that we know how we can meet the needs of the shoppers, which means ultimately the supplier and our partners get what they want out of it as well. I would say it can't all be a one-way street. We need to know, of course, about our shoppers, but the suppliers and the partners, we need to make sure we understand their objectives. And so we are having better planning sessions as a result of this so that we have a win-win across the board.
All right, Mia, it's rapid fire time.
Okay.
So first concert you ever went to?
1988 in Belfast City Hall, Bros. I don't know if anyone even knows who Bros is.
No
When will
idea.
I be famous? When will I be famous?
I do know it. I just wanted to wait to make you sing
Oh,
it.
stop it. So that was the first concert I ever went to. It was, yeah.
Amazing. Album that changed your life?
I would say this is going to sound really, really cheesy, but it was Richard Marx.
I love Richard
I went to
Marx.
America when I was like 12 or 13. And, this album was playing everywhere. And I grabbed it and came home and it hadn't been released in Ireland. And I was like the coolest person because I had this Richard Marx album and I could sing all the words. And back then on albums, you had all of the words. So as each of the songs was released, I already knew all the words because I learned them. So I was super cool. So it changed my life.
I forgot about the lyrics being in like album
They were
covers.
always in the
That was-
albums and the tapes.
We need to
And you
bring
would
that
learn
back
them.
somehow.
You didn't have to press the ghetto blaster to stop and write down the words.
Yeah. All right, last question. Song you've got on repeat at the moment?
I have loads of songs on repeat, but actually I got my Spotify Wrapped earlier in the year. Can I tell you
yeah,
what it was?
go for it.
So my oh my God, my top artist of the decade was Heart. Do you remember
Oh,
Heart?
yes. Excellent. Good
I
choice.
am in the top 1% of listeners across the world for BTS.
Wow.
I'm a
I didn't see that
massive,
coming.
massive BTS fan, massive K-pop. Didn't get any of my Arirang tickets, so I'm absolutely devastated. The top song is actually, at the minute, it was Metallica, Nothing Else Matters.
Wow, what an eclectic.
It's very eclectic.
taste. Maybe we need to do a brand partnership with BTS so you can get to the concert.
I know. I went on the whole waiting list. I tried to get into the waiting room. Didn't get a ticket.
Thanks so much, Mia, for joining us on Queued Up, the podcast.
Absolute pleasure, man.
Loved
Thank
having
you
you
so
here.
much. It was great. Fun. Better go and change that playlist.
No, I like it. Keep it. More heart.